In our last 3 videos, we have explored an erupting volcano, relaxed by serene lagoons, enjoyed city sights, marveled at stunning waterfalls, snorkeled in ice-cold waters, and taken a water ferry to the Westfjords. In this video, we'll take you through rugged terrain and winding roads, leading to a breathtaking cliff on one of Europe's westernmost points, as well as a nerve-wracking journey to a striking red beach, all within the Westfjords of Iceland. We are Daniel and Theresa. We are on a mission to check off destinations from our bucket list, one country at a time, all while balancing our 9-to-5 jobs. We had a cozy start to the day with instant ramen, perfect for a road trip. It's a bit of a bummer that the guest house in Strand didn't provide breakfast, but sometimes simple meals like that can be a nice, easy way to fuel up before hitting the road. Our Icelandic adventure reached its peak today as we embarked on the longest road trip of the entire journey. The first destination today, the legendary Latrabjarg cliffs. We set out early, eager to explore one of Iceland's most dramatic coastal landscapes. The road to the cliffs, however, quickly proved that it was not a route for the faint-hearted. As we left behind the more populated areas of Iceland, we were greeted by a rugged, narrow road that wound its way along the cliffs. The scenery was breathtaking at every turn. Towering cliffs, sweeping ocean views, and the untouched beauty of Iceland's wild coastline. But make no mistake, the road demanded focus. With steep drop-offs on one side and jagged terrain on the other, we couldn't help but feel the thrill of the adventure. While the road is a marvel in its own right, it's not a journey for those looking for ease or comfort. The route was remote, passing through very few communities, and the landscape felt both isolating and awe-inspiring. If you're planning to take this road trip, make sure you're well prepared. A full tank of gas is a must, along with plenty of snacks, and of course, properly inflated tires. Fortunately, we didn't encounter any trouble navigating the area, as we relied on Google Maps to guide us through twists and turns. Since we started our trip early in the morning, the roads were blissfully empty. Just us, the road, and the breathtaking vistas that seemed to stretch on forever. Despite the challenges, reaching Latrabjarg cliffs was an experience we'll never forget. The views from the top were worth every bump along the way. If you ever get the chance to take this incredible journey, do so with patience and preparation, and you'll be rewarded with some of the most stunning landscapes Iceland has to offer. The drive to the cliffs takes about 2 hours from Strand. Parking is plentiful when you arrive, but here's something to keep in mind. There are no facilities on site, no bathrooms, no cafes, just nature in its purest form. So make sure you're prepared before you go. Once you step out of the car, the hike begins. It's not too strenuous, but expect a little bit of a walk before you reach the cliff's edge. The effort is more than worth it though. As you approach, the sight of the cliffs towering above the sea is absolutely awe-inspiring. The landscape is rugged and dramatic, with the wind rushing by and the grass swaying like it's part of some natural symphony. If you close your eyes, it almost feels like the cliffs themselves are singing a welcome. While we were there a bit late in the season to catch sight of the iconic puffins, we were still lucky enough to spot several other bird species. The birds add an extra layer of magic to the place, and it's easy to get lost in the scenery for hours. Before you go, just remember, while the natural beauty is incredible, it's a no-frills kind of experience. Bring snacks, water, and make sure you're ready for the outdoors. And if you're lucky enough to visit during the right season, you might just catch a glimpse of the puffins. Iceland is a land of dramatic landscapes where towering cliffs meet the endless sky and rugged roads lead to some of the most breathtaking sights in the world. We are so glad that we ventured to the westernmost point of Iceland, a place that quickly became one of our most memorable stops. We spent over 2 hours at the cliffs, gazing out over the vast, untouched beauty of the surrounding landscape. The sheer majesty of the view left us speechless. And as we made our way back to the car, we carried with us the serenity and awe that only a place like this can provide. After leaving the cliffs, we set our sights on the next destination, Raudisandur Beach. The drive there was just as captivating as the destinations themselves. The road, winding and rough, offered continuous awe-inspiring views. The isolation of the landscape only added to its charm, with few cars along the way, until we got farther from the cliffs, where we began passing a few vehicles making their way to the same stunning spot we had just left. If you're planning to visit these locations, start your journey as early as possible. The road becomes even more treacherous as it narrows and roughens, especially when you're sharing it with other vehicles. There's something about those tight, winding paths that feel even more intense when another car is approaching. For that reason, if you're renting a car for this adventure, it's wise to get windshield protection insurance. The terrain is rocky and the risk of chips and cracks is real. Protecting your vehicle could save you from a major headache later on. After nearly an hour's drive through winding roads and vast open landscapes, we finally arrived at Raudisandur Beach, a place that feels like a secret only a few know. The drive itself is part of the charm, the road narrowing as you approach the beach. Once you reach the end, you'll find a small church, almost as if it marks the entrance to another world. Nearby, there are plenty of parking spots, but from there, the true beauty of the place begins to unfold. Raudisandur is not a beach you'll find crowded with tourists and bustling with activity. Instead, it's an isolated haven, cradled by towering mountains that seem to protect it from the outside world. The sound beneath your feet isn't like the soft, golden beaches you might imagine. It's a mix of clay and mud, giving the beach an earthy, rugged feel, more natural and raw than many of the polished destinations. We walked along the shore feeling as though we had stepped into a different time. The air was still and the only sounds were the gentle waves and the soft grazing of a few sheep nearby. Their presence, a quiet reminder that nature reigns here. As they chewed on the green grass, we couldn't help but feel like intruders in their peaceful existence, disturbing a calm so perfect that it seemed untouched by time or human hands. There is something deeply calming about the isolation of this place. It's not just for relaxation, but a space for reflection. The towering mountains, the vast openness of the beach, and the simple rhythm of life around you all combine to create an atmosphere of quiet solitude. It's a place where you can help but pause and appreciate the stillness, allowing nature to gently quiet your thoughts and put your worries to rest. If you ever find yourself near the Westfjords of Iceland, we highly recommend taking the time to visit Raudisandur beach. It's not just a destination, it's an experience, a peaceful, grounding reminder of the beauty and simplicity and the power of nature's solitude. The beauty of Iceland lies not just in its famous landmarks, but in the lesser known, often hidden gems like Raudisandur beach. It's a place where the journey becomes as much part of the experience as the destination itself. If you're an adventurer at heart, driving these isolated, rugged roads is an essential part of the Icelandic experience. Just be prepared for the rough ride, and most importantly, embrace the unparalleled views along the way. And remember, the early bird gets the best experience. After spending a little over an hour soaking in the serene beauty of Raudisandur beach, its sweeping sands and tranquil coastline, we were feeling a mix of satisfaction and hunger. The fresh air, the stunning views, and the peace of the beach had left us energized, but the growing rumble in our stomachs reminded us that it was time for a proper lunch. It was time to leave the quiet charm of the beach behind and continue our journey across the Westfjords of Iceland with a belly full of anticipation for what lay ahead. The next stop, a small yet welcoming hotel nestled in the remote corners of the Westfjords. Although we arrived just a little too late for their lunch buffet, the restaurant offered a solid backup: hamburgers and fish and chips. Simple but satisfying after a morning of exploration. It was here that we also filled up on gas, always an essential part of a road trip in Iceland, especially when you're covering long distances across rugged landscapes. After a quick refuel, both for the car and ourselves, we set off again. Our next destination was Husavik, a charming town on the northeast coast of Iceland, where we would spend the next leg of our journey. With nearly 9 hours of driving ahead, we knew it would be a long day on the road, but the Icelandic scenery would surely keep us entertained. As we drove, the landscapes shifted from coastal cliffs to vast expanses of wild, untouched land, reminding us of how small and yet deeply connected we felt to this land of fire and ice. Leaving the Westfjords behind was an experience we'll never forget. The drive was nothing short of breathtaking. Every turn, every stretch of road offered another stunning vista. If we weren't so pressed for time, we would have stopped at every opportunity to take in the jaw-dropping landscapes, towering cliffs, sweeping valleys, and dramatic coastal views that seem to stretch on forever. It's the kind of road trip that makes you wish for more hours in the day just to enjoy the view. But with a 9-hour drive ahead, we had to keep moving. We finally reached Route 1, Iceland's famous ring road, and the landscape transitioned as we moved toward the more accessible parts of the country. By this time, we were in need of a break, and luckily, we found a convenient all-service gas station that also offered a chance to stretch our legs and grab dinner. Though it wasn't the most glamorous of all locations, the gas station proved to be a surprisingly charming pit stop. Not only did they offer a variety of hearty food options, perfect for fueling up before the next leg of the journey, but they also had a small shop where we could pick up a few souvenirs to remember our adventure. From quirky Icelandic trinkets to snacks and local goods, it was the perfect place to restock on some Icelandic snacks before hitting the road again. As the hours passed and the drive stretched on, the landscape outside our windows continued to change. What had started as a warm, sunny day gradually shifted into something much more unpredictable. The once clear skies darkened, and soon we found ourselves driving through rain, then snow, with heavy clouds hanging low over the road. The weather in Iceland can change in an instant, and this was a perfect example of how quickly things can shift. As we got closer to our final destination, Husavik, the road began to feel more challenging. The winding paths and unpredictable weather made the drive slower, and our tired eyes were more than ready for a break. The scenery was still beautiful, but it was clear that we were heading into a different environment, one that felt wilder, more remote, and certainly less forgiving. By the time we finally reached Husavik, it was almost 11 p.m., much later than we'd anticipated. The long day on the road had taken its toll, and we were tired, worn, and more than ready to arrive. But despite the late hour, there was a sense of relief as we pulled into town. The weather was still dreary, but the promise of a warm drink and a cozy bed was all we needed to feel a sense of comfort. As we checked into our accommodation, we couldn't help but smile, knowing that after such a long and demanding drive, we had finally made it. Husavik, with its charm and warmth, was the perfect place to rest and recharge before the next adventure. We hope this video gave you a glimpse into the diverse and ever-changing terrain you can expect when driving through Iceland. From the sunny stretches along the Westfjords to dramatic snow-covered roads near Husavik, the landscape is as unpredictable as it is stunning. Whether you're navigating coastal cliffs, winding mountain passes, or the occasional snowstorm, the journey itself is just as much part of the adventure as the destination. In our next episode, we will be sharing the highlight of our Icelandic adventure, the most anticipated sight on our trip that truly stole our hearts. We will also be showcasing yet another breathtaking waterfall that we encountered along the way. Trust us, You won't want to miss it. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe to support our channel. See you next time.